Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Heavy Pages podcast. I have something to share today, and what I wanted to share was that I am making some changes. If you have been listening to my most recent episodes, then you kind of have heard some changes in my intro and a couple other little tweaks here and there. Well, there are a lot more tweaks to come, and one of the big ones that I wanted to speak to you about today is I'm changing my tagline, which is right now it currently says Heavy Pages, a divorce journal. And it is called that because my podcast started as me reading my journal entries from when I first separated from my now ex-husband. And so I read the journal entries to you and talk about what I remember feeling and, break them down and things like that. And so that's why it's called Heavy Pages, because the pages of that journal were filled with a lot of heaviness, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of pain. And I love that title. And I know that people that do not follow this podcast don't really understand what that title means, but I don't want to change it. So that's staying. However, I did put a divorce journal in the title because, the advice from others that help you get listens and views on your podcast suggest that there's a keyword so that people can, if they're searching for divorce and things like that, they can find it. But here's the thing. My journal was not about my divorce. My journal was about my separation journey. And the women that I mostly speak to and give advice and my perspective and share my journey with, and that I'm trying to help, are the women that are where I was when I started that journal entry. The journal, were women that are dealing with an unwanted separation. Like they're right in the beginning stages of trying to figure out what they're going to do with their lives and how to move forward and lost, scared, confused, all those things. Those are the women that this podcast is geared towards. Of course, I am happy for anyone and everyone to listen to this podcast. But the focus is on these women so that they can hear me share about what I went through, so that when they hear me reading a journal entry where I'm doing the stupidest things, and they might be doing something similar, maybe they're like, well, shit, this is part of the process. Maybe I'm not going to beat myself up about it because I see that I'm not alone. So that is my goal, right? And so a divorce journal is not accurate because by the time I got to my divorce, I was pretty good. I had gone through all of the sadness. I have dealt with the major emotions. I'm not going to say things were perfect because, it's still a divorce and things like that. But I was 2 years. It took 2 years after the separation to get the divorce. So I was definitely in another place, in a healthier place by the time the divorce came around. And my program that I created, the From Devastated to Divorced program, is guiding you from the moment of discovering, actually it goes a little bit before the moment of discovering that your partner wants a separation, through to the divorce. So really the journey that I am taking women through is the journey starting at the separation point. So all that to say that I am going to change my tagline, and I am going to change it to Heavy Pages, a separation journey. I am taking the journal out and switching it for journey, which is funny because honestly, in the beginning, I kept mixing those two words anyway. So maybe it was just a sign that that was something that should happen, right? So I am switching the tagline, and I am really laser focusing on this period in a woman's life. The spot where she discovers that she is having to deal with an unwanted separation, that her partner tells her that, I love you, I'm just not in love with you, or I've been thinking about my life without you, or I need a break, or finds out that they're cheating, or all of the different reasons that you can find yourself dealing with an unwanted separation. Those are the women that I'm going to laser focus on, and that is what I'm going to be speaking to in my episodes. They're all going to have a connection to those type of women. Obviously, there are going to be tips and advice that any woman dealing with a separation or a divorce will be able to find valuable, because maybe some of you skipped some of this part during the separation. Maybe you haven't really done the work, and that's okay. You're welcome here. This is a space where you can listen and learn and hopefully relate. But I just want you to know, and I'm trying to make it clear for the world and for myself, that my focus and the women that I am speaking to are the women that I can relate to the most, because this is the experience of my journey and this is where I learned from. And those are women that are dealing with an unwanted separation. So, to confirm or to clarify, I will be changing my tagline, and it's going to be a separation journey. Okay, also, I am changing some of my look. I have decided to switch my aesthetic a little bit to something that's a little more me. I was really focused a lot around my hair, and honestly, you might listen to this podcast episode 4 or 5 years from now, because hopefully I will still be doing podcasting and my podcast will still be around, and I might look like a totally different person. But right now, I happen to have I guess you would call it galaxy colored hair. I have fuchsias and blues and purples in my hair, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But I was actually like doing all of my branding kind of like because of my hair. And though I love my hair and I love those colors, I that's not all of my identity. And also, many women can't relate to that, and or don't want to relate to that aspect of mine. And that's cool. And I get that. So I am more than just my hair. And so I am switching out my color scheme to something that's more me, but not only more me, something that's more you, something that's going to speak to you more, something that's going to make you have the feeling that I want you to feel when you are listening to me, and when you are visiting my webpage, and when you are learning about my programs. It's going to be an inviting, hopefully, that's the goal, an inviting feel, but also that speaks to my feel, my aesthetic, and what I love, and how I want you to feel. So all of those changes are changes that are going to be coming up here soon, probably as soon as I post this episode, these changes will come up. I don't want to wait till next year. I probably have like 16 more episodes to come out this year, and I don't want to hold off. Once I have decided I want to make these changes, I really want them to just, start. It might be weird that things switch in the middle, but I think that you, my loyal listener, will be able to roll with this, and that you will appreciate it, and I think you will enjoy things more. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut back on my journal entry episodes. I know that you have enjoyed them. I know that I share a lot of my ridiculous journey and things like that. But I want to keep that as part of the podcast because, of course, that is the reason the podcast started in the beginning. But I have grown, and I hope that you have grown while you've listened to this. And so I want it to just be like a little tidbit of the podcast. I don't want it to be the main focus. The main focus is you, helping you move through these chapters of your life, helping you learn about different aspects, helping you think about different parts of the journey that you are going to have to live through or that you want to try and get better on. And so that's where the focus is going to be. I will probably post one episode a month. I might even just do it as a extra side episode. I haven't decided on that yet, but I do know that my journal entry episodes will not be every 2 weeks anymore. Depending on how many other episodes and how many more interesting things I can come up with, maybe it'll only be once every other month. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I am sure that it's not going to be every 2 weeks. So that is another big change. And if you're interested, I am going to continue to do the chapter checkup sessions. And if you want to share your journey and help other women feel less alone and maybe be able to relate to your journey, I am always looking for women who are willing to join me on an episode and share. And of course, you can share as much or as little as you like, and you can be anonymous and all of those things. So if that is also something that sounds like you would be interested in, then please send me an email. Okay, and one last thing. If you haven't gotten your free chapter checklist, it's still available at heavypagespodcast.com on the homepage. Just click on that homepage and you will find the little button so that you can download that checklist and find out where on your journey from devastated to divorced you might still be. So don't forget to take advantage of it, completely free. Okay, now that should be all. Okay, so basically, I just want you to be on the lookout that when you start seeing something weird on your feed, especially, if you have, and I know that all of you have, my podcast, you're subscribed to it, right? So when you see that my art has changed, don't worry, it's still me, still the same podcast. It's just a little different. And anywhere else that you might see a different look. If you follow me on Instagram, you will notice a different look there for sure. And I'm not going to be as busy there because I really want to put all my focus on my podcast and being able to deliver as many great episodes as I can for you guys. So, all right, I think I'm going to leave it here. Thank you for being a loyal listener. I really do appreciate you. And I'm really doing this for you. Of course, I've discovered how much I just want to help you get through this. I mean, I just know how terrible of a situation it is, but I also am blessed to know how amazing it is on the other side. And that is what I really want all of you to experience. So thanks again for listening, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now. That's going to be it for this episode. If you'd like to reach out to me, you can always find me on Instagram at heavy_pages_podcast. And if you found this episode interesting, please consider clicking on that 5-star rating and following so you are notified when the next episode drops. As always, thank you for listening, and remember, sometimes the pages of life can be heavy, but you don't have to turn them alone.